If I want to do more and I want to grow something, I have to hand stuff off and I have to figure to do it. So it's like you have to make yourself irrelevant and
Yeah.
replaceable. But the best founders are the ones that are able to do that. Like
Yeah.
they don't build everything. They find talented people.
This is the perfect start for the podcast. First of all, welcome Cory onto the podcast. I love your last name, by the way, Blumenfeld.
Thanks.
Very good
Do you
German
know what I
last
mean?
name. Of course,
Yeah,
we're German.
flower field. Of course we do.
Okay.
The
Brother,
flower
we
field.
speak the language. We're
I
born
know,
in
but
it.
people tell me this all the time.
This is a home game for us, so that's easy. So yeah, we just talked about it, Cory. Would love to know your opinion about in general, because founders always see themselves that they have to solve every problem and be most relevant in the company. But your thesis is the founders should actually make themselves irrelevant. So it would be nice to hear your opinion on that one.
Yeah, for sure. Like, look, I think for a lot of business owners, if you think about it, the end goal, let's say you're raising capital from an investor, the first, like, what's your exit strategy? I'm assuming you guys are business owners. It looks like you guys like to travel. I saw, you guys, one of you's in Spain, one of you is, well, you're both in Spain, right?
Yeah, both
Yeah,
Barcelona, yes.
yeah, Barcelona. Yeah,
Okay,
Yeah.
you said you went to school in another country. You probably have traveled a bunch. Like as a business owner, most people want to take a day off. They want to travel, right? I'm
100%.
assuming, nobody wants it, but you get sick from time to time. And when you get sick, you can't run the business. And, you know, now think of the other side. Like I'm a client, I'm an investor. Client, if you take a day off, if you take a holiday, like no,
yeah.
I don't want the business to fall apart. I still want to feel like I'm getting something. It doesn't stop with you. So yeah, I think it's the hardest thing for business owners and founders to think about. But the truth is, you have to be like replaceable. You have like if for your own sanity, you need to be able to take a day off. You'll burn out if you don't. If you ever want to sell the business, you can't rely on you because the person who's trying to buy or the company trying to buy your business is buying a business. They're not buying you. So it's interesting because a lot of folks will say, well, you need to be able to delegate like 90%, 99%, whatever the number is. I think 100% of a person's role needs to be delegated. It doesn't mean it's going to be delegated, but it needs to be delegated to have some sort of exit strategy.
No, I mean, Corey, I 100% agree. That's one of the things also. I mean, if you see it, everyone thinks about that Elon Musk, he does all this stuff, and it's like, look, he delegates everything. Of course, he's talking about it at the different crazy scale. But even on like smaller businesses, like Alex Ramosi talks about it a lot, that when it comes to acquiring businesses, when his business got acquired, his main goal for the last year that he was there is like he made sure that he's not the front runner. He's not running the ads. He's not in the ads. He's nowhere to be seen so that the business can run itself. Because otherwise it would be an acqui-hire, right? Just hiring
Yeah.
you like fucking ChatGPT, OpenAI did with OpenClaw, right? That's one of the things to hire you and you get the contract. But at the end of the day, that's not the business. You're not selling the business and you're just a one man show or whatever the small team is, right? End of the day. And this is a super interesting angle for me to see as well. But most people don't see that. So what's your rule of thumb for people who are starting businesses and when should they actually start delegating?
Yeah. So it's interesting. It is really, I guess, stage dependent. But the way I think about it now, right? So this is where I'm at right now. I have a team. And I have a team that manages other individuals. So when I'm doing something, when I'm building out a process, when I have my team building out something, I always set an artificial deadline for myself. It's like in 30 days, I need to be able to hand this off. Like I need to be able to hand this off. But if I'm just starting out, right? What you have to think about is where is your time best spent? Right. I know that it's kind of in a way it is a privilege to be able to bring on other folks onto your team and to manage them. It is, right? But the way I look at it for delegation, it's an investment. So if I have 5 hours a day back, rather than doing my emails, rather than doing basic admin work, rather than doing payroll, all these different things, I can focus on speaking to more people. I can focus on doing podcasts. I can focus on building my personal brand, right? That stuff takes time, but I know that it pays dividends, right? So these are things, the marketing, at least early on. and building the personal brand, which I think business is built on today, that it's hard to hand off to someone today. So I think of it as a an investment. And so when I'm thinking about what to delegate, I'm thinking, how do I get more time to actually build the business? Because that's what we're doing. We're building the business. And so if it is a task that's like $15, $20, right? I know what my time is worth. I know with my time what I can do with that time to grow the business. And so I have to think of it in an investment. So if I'm a new business owner just starting something, I would think like that. If you don't have the resources to do that, comes down to prioritization. Know what's going to actually move the business forward, right? So sometimes you actually aren't in a financial state to delegate. I get that.
Yeah.
But as soon as you can, as soon as you have some resources, think of it as an investment, not an expense. So
Cory, I love your mission. For example, on LinkedIn, you also have your I'm on a mission to help over 1 million business owners to take back their time. I really like the mission. And that also brings me, how did you even start this company, right? Because I think the
yeah.
audience doesn't know what exactly you're doing. And yeah, that would be awesome if you could just like give us a quick overview and then just jump right in how you got to the mission.
Yeah, so I run BlueMoso and CSMoso. The mission is to get people their time back to be able to focus on what matters, whether that's growing the business or a life outside of the business. And so how did I get here? Purely accidental. Okay, I before this I had built two tech businesses and exited those. And when
Nice. Which
I
ones?
left,
What did you do?
first one was a medical patient education app in Canada. When you leave the doctor's office, they give you all those papers.
Oh,
We digitized all that in
ooh.
Canada. So that was fun. I called that my MBA. Next business was, I'm Canadian. We started becoming experts in US health insurance, and we worked with financial advisors and help people understand their healthcare costs and what insurance options were better. Became an expert in that, and I had no clue to what I was doing prior to starting that. Like, I didn't know the US health insurance system.
It's
Learned it
crazy
very quickly.
difficult. So,
Yeah,
man, I need a PhD for that stuff.
yeah, but you can learn, right? So we learned how to do that. But in both those businesses, like I never put myself out there. I never built a personal brand. So in my mind, I was always leading from the back seat. I always say this, but like when you leave from the back seat, you're a backseat driver, and what happens when a backseat driver's driving the car? It goes off the road. So
Complaints.
yeah, yeah. So that's what it was. And so I exited my last business, and I was like, I need to start creating a personal brand. I need to start creating content. So I started doing that, and at the same time, I got a consulting position. So it was a lot of work, right, to balance both. So I saw this as an investment. I had this theory, personal brand. It didn't matter what I was starting, right? I needed a personal brand. And so investing in my personal brand would allow me to start the next business. Didn't know what that was. So I brought on a VA. And from my experience in the last couple of businesses, I realized you need to set people up for success. So you need to document things, you need to give them clear instruction, you need to make it easy for them to succeed. So with my VA, I gave her all the instructions. I was clear with everything. I showed her how. It was actually me doing the work and showing her from like my example. And it worked really well. I started growing on LinkedIn. I started having more conversations with LinkedIn creators and folks that I met on the platform. And I always had the same conversation with them, how am I growing? I would tell them about my VA, my process. And I kept hearing this common pattern from folks. Oh, I haven't had success with my virtual assistant. I'm spending so much time trying to find a virtual assistant. I keep bringing on virtual assistants and letting them go. And I was like, well, these are my systems. This is my process. And, the classic entrepreneur
Yeah.
light bulb went off. And it was like, well, if I had a virtual assistant for you, because I had a couple at the time, would you want to tap into them? We could use my process and everything. And they're like, yeah, sure. Okay, would you pay for this? Yeah. Went to my virtual assistant. I was like, you want to make some extra money? I was really close with her and her family. I was like, you want to make some extra
Mhm.
money? I think we can make some extra money for you doing this. She said, yeah. That was about, I guess, a year and a half ago. And now we have like a talent pool of over 70 virtual assistants. We're not just doing general social media stuff anymore. We have many different positions and areas where we outsource for. We've launched CSMoso, which is focused on the client experience. All of our virtual assistants at BlueMoso are really focused on being the human in the loop, so focused
Mhm.
on implementing AI systems. And we can talk about that later because it's in my
Of
my theories,
course.
it's AI plus the right people. That's really how you build a successful system. So yeah, it took a bit to get here, but all accidental because I started creating content and it started becoming too much work for me.
That's fucking awesome. Where are they based usually? Where's all the VAs and all the stuff? Are they in the Philippines, Mexico? What do you have them based?
Yeah, so my business partner, so it's funny, my business partner is my first VA, Cha. She is amazing. Her and her family have been super supportive. Philippines right now, but we do look at expanding into other areas. You know, I have my virtual assistant in Pakistan. I know there's many different areas, but yeah, Philippines to start right now.
Awesome.
Oh, it's a good start. Also, we've seen like on Shepherd, I think I'm not sure what I call it now, Go Shepherd. They're also about virtual assistants. So I think like Philippines is a very good start. This for me, I have a question when I'm because you were basically in so many different industries. What was your process actually to be like dangerous in that learn fast enough the process in an industry to actually become dangerous in that industry?
Yeah, I don't know. I like to think of myself as a generalist. I don't know. I think for me, you know, a lot of people have fear and doubt that hold them back. So in the like, you know, I look back at the so if we even go even further back, I started a driveway sealing business, which was like driveway repair. I learned how to do
Sick.
that by watching videos on YouTube, right? Like all of this stuff. I didn't know how to build a mobile app before we did it. It's just you learn on the go. So I think it's being comfortable building on the go, like the classic saying, like you build the airplane mid-flight. That's what I've been doing, right? And so if you get comfortable with that, learning on the go, learning how to like can have a conversation with a potential client, learning how to be okay with not having the answer, and you know, working through that with your client, you can do that and be dangerous enough and not knowing, right? Like that's what I think I'm comfortable enough now in situations where I don't know, and I know how to work past that and to build trust in individuals. I think one of the biggest things you can do for an individual is focus on becoming an expert in knowing how to get the information. I don't know the answer right now, but I will go and figure this out for you. And if you can demonstrate that to individuals, they'll be more likely to trust you in getting that information. So, yeah, I don't know. I think you can learn information super quick right now,
Wow, it's
right?
crazy. The only thing that I find is the information is so readily available right now. But the problem is the right information. Like for example, I noticed that I'm heavily relying on ChatGPT right now and all the other AI models. But
Yeah.
the thing is, sometimes they still hallucinate, but they're so good and close to the truth that, for example, one example, we are currently in the process of launching a new product here. It's a creatine product. There's a thing that with this specifically, there's a regulation in terms of how much creatine you can have in the daily packages. But ChatGPT is not precise enough to know exactly if the limit is 3 grams or 4 grams. Like it still says, like it's not sure, and you still have to source out and go to get a lawyer and get information checked out. So it's interesting, but like specifically niche questions, AI is sometimes still a little bit too vague or doesn't know exactly or doesn't want to tell us, which I
Yeah.
found is like, damn it, I wish it did that already. In San Francisco, they're telling us they can do this. Fucking liars.
I know. I know. And I think people are becoming very reliant, and it's knowing when to use it. And I think it's also starting a business is the ability to take risk, right? Like you need an ability to take risk and be able to move fast. So yeah, you can't rely on this information, but I think like at some point it's knowing what risks to take. So probably this because it's a health product and there's a lot of legal risks because you're going to have people take, you need to get the answers to that. I think it's also knowing what context to provide these systems. So, like, if you know how to get information, and that's what it's like knowing the right questions to ask and knowing how to guide it and knowing how to get it to conduct research and to check a bunch of different resources to get you the best possible answer. I think sometimes you can get close to the answer. The
Yeah.
creatine one, maybe you do need to double check that with a lawyer before, but I think that these tools, either way, they're super powerful because at least, you know, now you kind of have an answer, right? Like it will tell you we're not too clear. Maybe sometimes we'll
Yeah.
hallucinate, but that's on you to then double check everything. At least that's how I look at it,
Exactly.
right?
No, 100%. It's one of the things. It's just interesting, like how much we rely on it. If you think about a year or 2 years back, for me, I didn't use it much, like at all. Like I was Googling more stuff. And nowadays, even now, for example, I had that yesterday. A friend of mine, he's also a business owner, and which is kind of funny. So when you just type in his company name, and somehow AI somehow got it in the wrong hole, that at some point he was in process of going bankrupt, but he never filed for bankruptcy, never. But somehow one of now in the AI, when you search for his company name, it says like in the drop down in Google, like company name bankruptcy, and like it is crazy because it's somehow because they had sometime like a not so good year, and they had and like obviously they were losing money, but the rest of the years were great. But somehow AI is now hallucinating or thinking this is an actual thing, which is wild.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's like
There's so many stories we'll make up about me when I'm like, I'll be writing something, I'll be like, what's going on here? Like, and then I'll like, we all yell at our AI tools. I use a tool that I can talk into it and it like voice dictates everything. I'll be like, what the F? Like, were you making a Oh yeah, Corey, I know. I don't know. I was trying to be dramatic here. You like things dramatic. I'm like, don't make I don't understand. I didn't have a client that ever where the hell did you get? Well, the AI told me to do that's one of my biggest pet peeves now when like you're talking to someone and they're like they blame it on the AI and I'm like no, it's not the AI. I'm writing a piece on this where it's like, no,
oh,
it's not the fucking AI, right? Like it was you. You still have the ability to make the decision if you
But
want
that's
to
the
accept
thing.
it.
People outsource it. Their decision making, they outsources it to the AI and just like, hey, yeah, just basically it. I'm just following. That also brings me to, for example, with VA. What is, for example, for you the difference? What makes the difference between a great VA and one who actually becomes another job to manage?
Yeah, a great VA is focused on outcomes, not focused on tasks and checking the box. So I, the thing is, I think a lot of it has to do with the person managing the VA. Like, I really do believe that, yes, there is a type of quality that makes someone better at being a virtual assistant. But I think a lot of it also comes down to how we manage that individual. As a leader, if I'm bringing on VAs or outsourced talent, I want to be clear with what my expectations are, what the outcomes are. If I assign someone a task, they're going to treat it like a task. So let's say there's a bunch of, let's go to social media, right? And like, I need you to comment and write my posts for me, right? And there's no goal attached to that. That's what they're going to do every single day. But then if you go and focus like, okay, your job, grow my account. I don't care what you do to grow my account. You need to grow my account. Figure out what is working right now for account growth, right? And that's just very high level. It's not specific. That individual is going to focus on many different activities and a lot of these different platforms, right? They change. So one week I might need commenting, another week I might need some certain type of graphic style. I might need trending music, right? Like different things. And that's what they're focused on. But when you go and say, I need to do this task, it's very hard to shift that. And a lot of individuals, the good VAs can do this on their own. They're not like focusing on a task or focusing on an outcome. And so that's what I see, you know, the difference in. But a lot of times it actually comes back to the business owner to kind of set those principles early on.
For example, just let's take, for example, our podcast. If you want to hire a VA, what would be the role of the VA we should be hiring for if we want to grow this podcast, for example, and what would be the steps?
Yeah, so okay, this podcast, let's think about it.
Let's be
Well,
selfish.
yeah, be selfish. You need an audience, right? So like a podcast isn't just putting out content on one of the platforms. You need to build it through social media. So you need to capture an audience there, right? You can put it on all the different platforms. You have video, so TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. The best way to build an audience isn't actually through just putting the content out on any platform either. It's building relationships with your listeners, so or with other people in the industry to recommend you. So, what would I have this individual doing? Well, one, editing, cutting up the content for the different platforms. That's a given. Maybe you want this individual researching really interesting people that will drive an audience to your platform too, right? Because, a lot of times you bring on guests to steal their audience. That's part of the game. The other thing that I would have them doing is find interesting people. So let's say you want to drive your platform through like a platform like LinkedIn or Substack. You want or X, finding other folks on those platforms to build a relationship with to promote your podcast. So, starting those conversations with them. Like a lot of And this, I think, the misconception. People think you can put content into the ether and it will just drive people, right? No, it's still relationship heavy. And you have to build the right relationships with the right people to build an audience. So, you know, you're finding other creators, you're getting them excited, you're doing collaborations with them. In your case, you're getting them on podcasts, right? But you could also do like blogs and newsletters, find other creators and get listed in their newsletter. So there's a lot to it. I think it's
Let's
just
ask
finding a
this
way to
way.
your audience. Yeah,
How
there's
are
so
you gonna,
much.
you already mentioned you're gonna grow your personal brand, and this is going to be your new project because you think that
Yeah.
you don't want to be a backseat driver anymore. You want to take control of it. So you're gonna be founder first, founder led business. And how are you gonna utilize your VAs to achieve that goal?
Yeah. So how am I first I like to going back to what I was saying before, I like to build out the process, but also set myself a deadline. So I like to validate the process is what I mean. So, everything that I was sharing with you are kind of things that I'm doing. My podcast is more to get people on the phone that I wouldn't be able to get on if I was doing standard sales calls, right? I want to demonstrate my expertise. So, I have outreach going out that I have a VA managing for me. I've been doing DMs. I have them booking meetings with folks that I think could be valuable to my audience. I've started a Substack page as well, like a newsletter there. The Substack newsletter is the same name as my podcast, right? So I'm building all this branding around that. My LinkedIn is all about taking back your time. Like that's what the podcast is about. That's what the newsletter is about. So
What's the
everything
podcast
is
name?
I'm so bad at this. I keep pushing. It's like takingmytimeback.com, I think. So taking my time back.
Shout
I
out,
was
my
just able to
boys.
get the domain. Yeah, so that could be the wrong domain. So I'll get it to you after. I'm a little dyslexic sometimes, if I'm being honest.
No worries.
So yeah, so what am I doing now? I'm speaking to people. I'm literally going out on LinkedIn and Substack, and I'm talking to people that could be guests on the podcast and just having quick conversations with them. I'm trying to support them, trying to tell them to support me, getting them to build out like, on Substack, you can recommend a newsletter. I'm trying to find people to recommend my newsletter because my newsletter is going to be tied to the podcast. Right. So it's all these things that don't scale. I need to validate that they work for myself. And then once I figure out that they work, I can put that process in the hands of someone else because I figured out how to do it um, and kind of created that flywheel. So I think, correct me if I'm wrong, like not everyone's like the all-in podcasts that, they were really big already or had big brands, but
Yeah,
they already had a network. But it's like when you don't have the network, I think that's what a lot of folks, you have to go and build that network. To do that,
100%.
it doesn't scale. It does you don't do things at scale. You just got to go
No.
and figure it out.
YC, always the motto of YC, do things that don't scale.
Yeah,
It's just the most important. Otherwise, you cannot move forward, especially in the beginning when you're just, it doesn't matter because if you're only a single founder or you have a small team, like it doesn't matter to build out a super well thought process because in the end, like, if you don't have the clients yet. So you need to first like get out, get feedback in, and then optimize. But yeah.
no, exactly, right? Like I think that YC's been saying this forever, so I agree. Every entrepreneur lives by it. What I will say is, and I really believe this is my prediction, it's like I think you're starting to see founders catch on that they are content creators now. If you are a founder and you're not creating content, you're going to lose to someone with a shittier product, a shittier service because they're creating content. So, you know, to creating content, it doesn't scale. It's not like it scales, but in the beginning, it's not scalable. You have to go out there and do the work. You have to go make a name for yourself.
I have two questions. You mentioned
Yeah,
already before the call a little bit that you're gonna buy the DJI Pocket 4.
yeah,
We were thinking also for our brand actually to think about creating more content, and we are thinking about the Ray-Ban glasses.
yeah,
What was your way of thinking for the Pocket 4 so you can see yourself versus the Ray-Ban glasses?
yeah. I was looking more for something to record for a podcast, right? I was like,
Okay.
okay, I need to create content on the go. I need something that's gonna like follow me. I had like a gimbal before. I connected my phone. It was annoying because just like to set it up, I couldn't get like in the moment shots. It was like I'd have to walk around with my phone on this thing. So I had another DJI product, but I was looking, okay, this thing can be a webcam, high quality webcam that moves and follows me so I can connect it to my computer. So yeah, maybe I need some other cameras at some point, but it's like you start with one thing. I don't know if it's the best
100%.
thing. I have to test it out, but yeah, it's just I needed to get going. I need the other thing is I couldn't spend too much time looking for this. Like I just needed to get started. So it's like, okay, get this, get the teleprompter, all this stuff. Am I going to use it? Well, now I've spent all this money, so I better go and use this stuff. But as I was like, the more content you can create. So like if you have the ability to get the Ray-Ban glasses, if you have the ability to get like a camera, whatever, like just figure out how to create content now. Just create as much as you can.
I think that's one of the biggest stoppers for most people. They think like they need to have the best equipment to start, but to be honest, it doesn't matter. You have a smartphone right now, you can start creating content with this. And I believe like that's a mental hurdle. Like we also have a friend, he wanted to become a streamer and he literally bought everything. He had like his streaming computer, he webcam, microphone, he set everything up and still didn't do it because he just said it wasn't the right time. Whereas you see
Yeah.
other people like I Show Speed or whatever, they start with like literally the shittiest webcam ever, but they're just getting started, right? Because in the end, you get only better by doing the craft. So right. And
Yeah.
that's also how you get the audience. And it's just being like showing yourself out there.
Yeah, like you know, going back to like the question you were saying before about, learning, right? With limited information. I think it also that's also something it's just get started, right? It doesn't have to be perfect. It's getting over that hump. So, the more time I find the more that you have to go and buy and all that stuff, it's just like kind of like to buy more time. I can't get started because I don't have this. I can It's like rather than just learning on the go. Right. The other thing, it's like video content doesn't come easy for me. So the reason I'm starting a podcast is kind of like selfish in a way where it's like, one, I want to speak with more ICPs and be seen as an expert with my clients, my potential clients. Maybe then they want to refer me to friends or they want to buy VA services. Two, I need video content, and I suck at pulling out my phone and recording myself. So at least if I do a podcast, I'm have video content, and I'll be forced to create video content. So it's like, okay, kills two birds with one
You're
stone.
doing great. You're doing great so far. Don't worry.
Thank you. I'm gonna let my mom know. That's why I'm back home for
Exactly.
the next couple of days. I'll tell her after.
She tell you what a handsome boy you are afterwards as well.
You know she did. She lets me know.
I get it. It's the only person that tells me that as well. My mom. Cory, what is the most expensive task founders keep doing themselves?
Oh my, like it's a loaded question. Most expensive tasks that they keep doing themselves.
Or what or better
Uh,
better formulated, what are the tasks that founders believe they keep need to do, but actually should be one of the first roles that they should outsource or give a VA to?
yeah, anything that's not really pushing the business forward in terms of, I think the important thing is like revenue growth. It's like what is actually growing the business. The reality is until you have clients and customers paying, you have an idea. That's how I look at it. And there's different stages, right? So you get it's based on the stage of growth. You can build a business and you might not actually be able to physically take on more customers because you don't have the operations built out. So your job as a business owner is to navigate through the business and put your time in where I think as a business owner, your job is to bring vision, to guide the business into the future and to help it like think strategically. So what will allow you to do that? Sometimes you do need to drive revenue. And that's most of the time. It's driving revenue as a business owner. Other times it's fixing the operations, right? So if I only have the capacity to bring on 10 clients, how do I bring on the capacity to bring on 20 clients? Maybe you have to focus on hiring. Maybe you have to focus on building some process, right? So it's as a business owner, it's thinking about where you are in the growth of the business and anything that doesn't relate to those like very crucial tasks, that's probably something that you need to delegate. So, at some point I won't be able to do every single sales call, right? It drives revenue. But I just won't be able to do every single sales call. So maybe what I need to do is be involved in bringing on the right salesperson, training them, getting them to a place where they're dealing with the majority. And then, at that point, it's like, well, I want to take on corporate clients. Okay, cool. So I'll take the corporate meetings. You take the small business owners. Right now I'm thinking about capacity, or I'm personally thinking about how we like it. advance our matching system. I'm thinking about building technology in the business. Okay, so my energy is focused on product, for example, because my team doesn't have the experience with product. Okay, but what does that mean? Someone has to make up for it, right? So I have to delegate the other stuff so I can actually execute and get the product stuff done. So it changes, right? There's not one thing. You need to ask yourself as a business owner, where are you in the growth of your business? What stage are you at? And then navigate so your focus is on those 1 to 2 to 3 things so you can actually get it done.
What's the harshest advice you would give a founder who says, but nobody can do it better than me?
Yeah, stop making like it's just an excuse, right? Like it's bullshit. Me as a business owner, I'm like, I want to find people smarter than me. That's what I
Yeah.
want to surround myself with. So it's like, yeah, no, like I don't like calling people wrong, but it's like get out of stopping your own worst enemy. Get out of the way. Like, do you want to fail or succeed, right? And yeah, like you gotta just step out of your own way. A lot of people are their own worst enemy.
What is something that you learned in the last year that changed something in your mindset, the way you attack life and business?
Yeah, so I got it tattooed on my arm. It's right here. It says "Find your easy." So over the last year, I don't know. Have you guys read the Atomic Habits book? I
Yeah,
Of
of
read that
course.
course.
like
James
I
Clear.
think
I mean,
like
we
two.
don't read, we listen
Yeah.
because we're
Same,
audible
same,
guys.
same.
Say, I don't have the capacity to
It
keep
just sounds
reading.
more sophisticated when you say to
Yeah,
read it.
yeah. I listened to it too, and that when they talked about like making something easy, but the truth is, so the meaning behind that is when you find something that's easy for you, right? It doesn't mean it's actually easy, right? So creating content on LinkedIn, that became easy for me. Building this business and not dealing with like all this. My friend yesterday messaged me like, how do you deal with all the pressure? Like, how are you always so calm and when it comes to business? It just feels a little easier for me. It's super hard. There's days where I'm stressed out, but it feels like I'm natural at it. Like different things feel natural. So when I say find your easy, it's you find that thing that just feels a little natural to you. Like it's still hard, but it just comes to you a lot easier than other things, right? So when you really can focus on that, one, it either can become a habit, or two, it's just you're in a state of flow when you're doing it.
I like that. I like that a lot, actually. It's it's true because everything is a loss. It's subjective. What makes it
Yeah.
hard is the perspective of the person.
Also, was Atomic Habits or Tiny Habits where the guy went later to the factory for the dental floss, where he started literally just like breaking it down to the simplest step, where he didn't like dental floss and he just started flossing at the beginning, just one tooth. And then it was so ridiculous that it was so small. And then he next day was like two teeth, etc. And then in the end, he even said like, "Man, I got so into flossing that he went to a factory that produced the floss, so you actually like toured one." But yeah, that
I
was
don't know if that was
I know.
Atomic Habits, but remember, I listened to it. And sometimes they say when you're listening to something, you have to listen to it 5 times. I only listened to it once.
Don't say
Actually,
that. Don't say that
retain it.
now. Don't say that. You got it all down.
no, but for me, it's like I love listening to this when I'm in the gym or something like this. So I just because I'm not a guy who listens to music when I'm in the gym. For me, I this is for me the time to, let's say, learn or get my information, because like otherwise I'm all day in front of my computer doing other things, and then either it's on the morning walk where I'm listening to a podcast or in the gym, because that's like a way where I'm just like in between sets trying to get some listens
Lucas
in.
says now when he's at the gym, it's social hour. Fucking headphones off, and let's fucking talk to everyone. This guy is a filthy liar, you know. He's like, yeah, I educate myself at the gym. All right, brother.
So
All right, I see you.
I just get my music blaring. I don't want to hear anyone. I don't want to talk to anyone.
Uh,
But yeah, most of my life I'm just trying to like hide from people. I don't know. I don't
yeah.
do a good job. I don't do a good job at it.
I mean, I was about to say you're on a podcast. I don't think you're doing a great job
I
here.
don't do a good job at it. And even and now I'm trying to be seen by everyone apparently. So I failed at my life goal. That's sarcasm. I'm bad at it.
It's all right.
It was already good in.
Uh,
What's the Corey? What was the? You already mentioned a lot about networking and socializing. At the end of the day, it's about who you know and how to get it. what was the not outrageous, but funniest introduction that you made, or let's say icebreaker to build a relationship, either on LinkedIn or something? I'll be love to
I'm
hear
so
that.
bad at this. I remember just saying some like ridiculous or witty stuff. I'm not really like, outrageous with my outreach all the time. I know that in the past, I think I remember this guy's name. Let's see if I can find it. Okay, I think I know what it is. This comes to mind. I was impressed with myself that day.
This just until I have a friend of ours. The most outrageous one, I was like, bro, this is a wild one. Well, let
I
me hear
saw
yours first.
I saw this guy's post, and I remember I saw he's a big creator on LinkedIn, and I was just like, watermelon is good, but mangoes are better. It's like something about fruit. I remember something about watermelons. And it's like, here you're working with a bunch of my buds. Thought I'd intro myself. Would be great to connect one of these days. Let me know if you're down. He's like, hey, dude, I'll fight you to death. 3 watermelons. Haha, happy to chat. So I guess he said something about watermelons in his post. And I was like, let's go. I've been training this my whole life for this. Bare knuckle boxing or battle royale. You choose.
Nice. So it was a smooth intro. Our friend was like, he
But
was
it's not
valid, bro.
always like that. Let's be real here.
Yeah,
That
no,
was
it's
just a
not
fun
always
one.
like that. A friend of you just cold email outreach, and he had the title Epstein's List.
Oh
Found your
no.
name on the Epstein list, and you'd be
Oh no.
surprised. The opening rate was wild.
I don't know if I'd want to open that email. That'd be scary. That's
I was like,
yeah,
bro, that's wild.
there's a lot of psychology to
Yeah.
the email open rate. I've been spending a lot of time in cold email too recently. Some people say outrageous stuff. I bet you if my friend was here, he'd say like he does more outrageous stuff, and like sometimes it shock opens for me. I find like the way I think about it is like what's something that a client could send me, like
Yeah,
that could be worded. That's how I think about it. Like
it's probably better.
10 to 20 hours. That was my last thing. Or now I'm just being like podcasts. Well, that's what my cold email campaign is. It's like I just need to be simple.
Honestly, simple is the best. Like we didn't do that kind of outreach. Or he was like, your porn up password wasn't reset properly or something. I was like, this is fucking wild. People are clicking on this shit like crazy, but man, I wouldn't fucking trust the guy after you send me this kind of stuff unless it's
Yeah,
funny. You know?
maybe it works. I don't know. I, it could.
Cory, what do you believe about LinkedIn and personal brand that most founders still keep ignoring?
Yeah, I think it comes back to what I was saying before. Like, if you are like, I can talk about it for me. I'm not a content
Yeah,
creator. I
yeah.
would never say I'm a content creator. I'm a business owner. But in 2026 and for the foreseeable future, business owners, founders are content creators. So I think more people are catching on to this, but if you are creating a business, if you're a founder, you need to be creating content somehow. Because as a like someone who has a shittier product, a shittier service, shittier podcast, right, is gonna be out there promoting themselves and guess what? They get the attention that you're not getting. So I really think that it's not about knowing, like I don't know. I spend more time, so I have more experience on the platform, but it's not about knowing, it's about doing, right? And you'll get better over time. Like the first time I posted on LinkedIn, I'm just starting on Substack now, right? And a lot of the principles are similar to what I was doing on LinkedIn, but yeah, it's just about doing, like knowing that content is the way to build an audience, a way to build trust, a way to build value, and finding some channel, some medium that works well for you. So,
I like it. No, that's something because that's also something I personally struggled with, partially because like so many things. Like we have a podcast, we're also building our own like a new company before had like an AI company. And then it's also like where do you focus your like where are you creating the content, right? In the end, and then how do you stack it so you can all do the content all in one day? That's something that we need to still balance. And I think it's very, very hard for any founder. But I mean, if you're in between start or new companies, it's always great to build your own personal brand, because in the end you can leverage this later on to get like either better connection for VCs or also have potentially clients that you could later use for. Or
Yeah, for sure. So there's so many benefits to it, and I think it's the easiest way to build trust. So the great thing for you is like you already have this podcast, so you have so many different ways to use it in actually create like you have the written content because you have the transcript of the podcast. You have all the short form content because you have the raw footage. So it's just about getting it out there and just doing it. So you guys are lucky, but for someone who's starting, right, a lot of folks are just like, well, there's so many people already talking about it. I have nothing interesting to say.
Excuses,
Yeah,
excuses, all excuses. But that's also how we
yeah,
feel sometimes ourselves, right? Because you're like, oh, I didn't make it yet. I didn't make 100 million yet. I'm not the smartest. I'm not the prettiest, or whatever it is. I'm not the fittest. Whatever it is. The thing is, it doesn't really matter, because in the end, you're just showing your perspective and what made work for you. In the end, people will always like to see the zero to hero story. So it's all about just showing your perspective. Also, when I would never say give advice, hey, you have to do this. I would rather say
yeah,
this is what works for me, and if this works for you, great. So these are like things that if somebody hasn't started a podcast yet, just talk about your own experience. There's nobody better at being yourself than you. So that's like nobody can win this. So I think that's a really good thing that you can do. Like,
yeah, yeah. I had a mentor once that said, "Don't shit on people. Like you should do this. You need to do this, but you shouldn't do this."
oh, I
Right?
heard don't
It's
shit on
like,
people. I was like, okay.
yeah, I guess same thing. Well, like, and don't like, but at the same, it's like you can't tell a person how to live their life. I know a lot of us do. So, I took that to heart. I don't like telling people what to do. I like providing valuable information, but I'm not going to tell someone you have to do it like this because there's probably millions of ways to do something, and people sometimes have to figure it out.
Even when it comes to business, there's not only one way to make the fucking business successful. There's for sure thousands of ways to make the same business work. Different
Of
ways, different
course.
perspectives, different people. Even like okay, I have a twin that I work with. It's pretty much they're very similar. But like even we can make the content different work for each of us, right? It's like one of the
Yeah.
things you have to consider when it goes to all that stuff. So yeah, advice is just only always with the grain of salt. No, that's how it works. End of the day.
Very
Cory,
true.
do you have any parting words or advice that you would give our audience or someone who's thinking of getting into VA?
I mean, first, check your priorities, right?
Hmm.
I think that's the most important. And like, you know, build the mindset that like you want to get out of the business as quick as you can, right? Stop being your own worst enemy. When you're able to do that and when you really put I won't call it a plan in place, but have the mindset in place that you don't need to be involved in everything and that you can hand off stuff and it is an investment to hand off stuff, right? And to delegate stuff, you can move a lot faster, right? So like if you really want to move fast, learn how to delegate and learn how to do it the right way. That means setting people up for success, not just handing it to them and say, here, go figure it out. That's not what good delegation is. So learn to be a good delegator. And if you want to learn how to be a good delegator, I'm always here. You can come find me. And
Where can people find you?
yeah, so just started out my Substack journey. So find me on Substack, LinkedIn, Instagram. Come to my website, BlueMoso.com. And yeah, I'm happy to find some time to help you be a better. I won't shit on you, I promise. No shitting on you, but hopefully I can help show you what I've done to be successful as a delegator, and I'm getting better every single day.
Awesome.
I love
Thank
it,
you,
Cory.
Cory.
Yeah.
Really appreciate it. Thanks for coming on the
Yeah,
pod.
yeah.
Thank you,
Thanks for having
Cory.
me. I end every conversation I have with a fist bump. So,
Oh,
Mark, Lucas, it was a pleasure.